What are you guys doing today? We hope we are good. Today we're making something really easy and basic. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Welcome everyone. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're good. We're in the good mood to learn something basic today. Okay. So everyone, welcome to we're going to do a short span. Remember I said we're going to be doing new things every day. Short pant. Tomorrow we move to an armhole. Tomorrow we move to a sleeve. So first of all I'm going to draw a straight line. Alright. I'll draw it all the way to this other side to meet up that other side. Now we're going to go ahead now and start from I've just drawn a straight line which is going to be the base line. Okay, it's going to be the base line. Alright, so after drawing the base line, I'm going to you're going to have to just go ahead and grab up something to hold that pattern because it's not really sure. I don't know where I put that pattern from. Oh, I can't find the paper tape. When last I even used it. Anyway guys, let's just forget about that. I wanted to hold this piece because it's kind of moving. Okay, so I'm going to be using inch. As you guys know, I have to measure from the waist to the hip depth. But remember that if you're making a pant that is not the high waist, simply what you're going to do is to go ahead and minus 2 inch. If you're making a pant that you want it to be a high waist, you're not going to minus 2 inch for your waistband. Alright, so for example, if I'm using my total length, for example, if my total length is 16 inch including the waistband or 17 inch including the waistband, which is around the knee, all right, I'm going to have to minus 1 or 2 inch depending on how big you want your waistband to be on this span. Okay, so if you're not making a high waist, like I said, you have to minus 2 inch. If you're making a high waist, minus your band allowance. So I'm not going to make a high waist because I've discovered that mostly all my pants that I have, they are high waist. So let me go ahead and do something really basic and simple. So I'm just going to mark up my hip depth, which is from the waist to the hip depth, which is 8 inch. From my waist to my crotch depth. To get the crotch depth, oh sorry, I thought this thing was connected. Oh my god. So first thing, I'm going to have to repeat it because I thought that my speaker was connected, but it wasn't. So what I did was to draw a baseline right there. Then I went ahead to minus 1.5 inch for my waistband. Okay, this baseline here is my waistline. Okay, now I'm going to just place from that 1.5 inch to my hip depth, which is 8 inch. Then now from the hip depth, I'm going to move now to my crotch depth. To get the crotch depth is by dividing round hip by 4. Then I'm going to add 1 inch to it. So my round hip is 38. Divided by 4 is going to give me 9.5. Then if I add 1 inch to it, I'll be left with 10.5. Then from there, I'm going to move now to the length of the short, which I want it to end up my, let's just say 17 inch around the knee line. After which I'm done doing so, is I'm going to go ahead now to draw straight lines up like this. I'm gonna come here and do another straight line, and I'm gonna come here, I will do another straight line. So here I have the waist, here I have the hip line, here I have the crotch line, here I have the length of my short. Now what I'm going to do is to go ahead, take round my hip divided by 4. Round the hip I'm working with is 38 divided by 4. It's going to give me 9.5. I'll mark that 9.5 here, and I'm also going to go ahead and mark it on the hip there, which is right there. Once I'm done doing so, the next thing I'm going to do, if you check, I'm putting on my pin, okay? So I'm done doing so. I'm going to go ahead now and connect these points up like that, all the way to meet up. Now I want to take 1/4 of the hip, which is 9.5. We're going to divide it up by 4. I've divided it into 2, and I'm going to go ahead now and divide it again into 2 again. Whatever I have, I'm going to go ahead and extend it up here to be my crotch extension of the front. Now that I am done doing so, the next thing I want to do, normally I always come up here like this by 1.5 inch, but you can just go ahead, by 2.5 inch, but you can just go ahead and connect it up, because from here to here 2.5 inches almost at this line. So what I'm going to do is just to go ahead and connect it up. And when I'm connecting it up, I don't want it to make it to be too deep, because when it's too deep, it's looking by the time you stitch it, it's going to look funny. So avoid it from being too deep. So this is what I have, not too deep, and you can see that, right? It's not too deep. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here like this. I will go in by, you can do 1 inch, okay? You can do 1 inch, you can do 1/2 inch. I'm going to do 3/4 inch, and I'm going to go down by 3/4 inch. So I've just went in by 3/4 inch, I've gone down by 3/4 inch. Practically it's here. Now this is what we're going to do. From this 3/4 inch, I went down. I will just have to connect it to meet up these points. Like this, to meet up that point. Remember, we went in by 3/4 inch, and we went down by 3/4 inch. Now from that point, this point that I went in here, 3/4 inch, yeah, I'm going to put my 1/4 of the waist, okay? 1/4 of the waist, the round waist I'm working with is 28. 28 divided by 4, it's going to give me 7 inch. I'll add on my 1 inch for that allowance. Then I'll connect these points up to meet up the hip depth line. Okay, just like. Now from this point, I'm going to connect it to meet up that point that I went down by 3/4 inch all the way to here. You see what I've just done there, right? I hope that part is clear. Now what we want to do is to go ahead now and put the nipple to nipple, nipple to nipple. My nipple to nipple is 7 inch divided by 2 is going to give me 3.5 inch. As you can see, I'm using 2 rulers at the same time, right? I'm going to draw a straight line. Now that I am done doing so, what I'm going to do is to come down by 4 inch, or you can even do 4.5 inch. Let me do 4.5 inch. I'm going to come out by 1/2 inch both sides, 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch here. Then I'll connect it up to meet up that 1/2 inch. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Now that I am done doing so, the next thing you want to decide is how you want the the line of the pant to be, if you want it to be free, if you want it to be fitting, or anything you want it to be, it's up to you. So from here, I want it to be a little bit fitting. I'm going to go in by 3/4 inch. You can do 1 inch. I'll connect these points up to make that 3/4 inch, just like this. Okay, look at what I'm doing here, like this. And then I have to bring it right down, right down to meet up that point. Now that I am done doing so, the next thing I'm going to do is to measure up whatever I have on my crush depth, which is 11 to, let's just say 11.6. I'm going to have to minus 1 inch from there. So 11.6 minus 1 inch, I'll be left with, let me just do 11. Let's just say 11 and a half. 11 and a half minus 1 inch, I'll be left with 10 and a half, right? I'm going to come here. Oh, let me go ahead and minus 2 inch. Minus 1.5 inch from there. Okay, so 11 and a half minus 1 inch, I'll be left with 10 and a half. Connect these points up. Now, grab this up like this. Oh, and bring it up like that. So this is what we have for the front piece of it. Okay, now what we're going to do is, normally we always use this back, the front, to cut up, to cut the back, which is quite very easy. You're going to see, I'm cut it up. I'm definitely going to use this back for my waistband. I'm going to cut. Okay, I'm going to cut here. If you want it to be free, there's no need for you to go in here by 1/2 inch. I mean, by 3/4 inch. I did, and you can do 1/2 inch or you can do 3/4 inch. Alright. Okay. Now that I am done cutting out the front of it, and if you check, I want to make sure that I leave an allowance here at the side. Then I have to just hold it up like this, and do the same thing here, like so. Okay, now that I am done cutting it up, as you can see, I place it up on my what paper is it called? Drafting paper. It's called drafting paper. We are bringing you from Nigeria, Okan, and John from Norway. Okay, guys. So I have just cut it up. This is drafting paper. You call it drafting paper. You can get it in white and brown, or even yellow. So I've just cut the front piece of it. If you check here, I left space here, and I also left another space here, and I left space here at the side. Okay, why am I leaving all this space? That's because the front is, the back is supposed to be wider than the front. Alright, so I hope that part is clear. I left space here, and I also left space here, and I left space here at the side. That's because the back is meant to be wider than the front. I hope that part is clear. So once I'm done pinning up my front page on my drafting paper, what I'm first of all going to do, remember that we took 1/4 of the crotch, 1/4 of the hip divided by 4. So meaning that my 1/4 of my hip was 9.5. It was round my hip is 38 divided by 4 is going to give me 9.5. 9.5, I'm going to go ahead and divide it again by 4. So I divided it into 2, then I went ahead again and divided it again into another 2 again, making it automatically into 4. And why am I dividing it? That's because the crotch extension of the back is meant to be wider than the crotch extension of the front. I hope that part is clear. So what I'm going to do, whatever is, for example, so whatever you get here is going to automatically be bigger than this when you come to the back piece. Okay, so some people, they may say, okay, go ahead and use 2 inch or go ahead and use 1 inch, but sometimes you may use 1.5 inch or you use 2 inch. It may not really fit you because you have big bum. Okay, so always go ahead and be sure that what you are using is going to be okay for you. So what I always make sure to do is just to multiply whatever I have here by 2. So this is going to be for the back here. So I'm going to come here and extend it up here. I will roll up that line up like this. I'll roll up a straight line right there. Now what I'm going to do from that point where I mark up, I'm going to go down by half inch here. I'll mark that point. Take note of that point, okay? Now, the idea for us to do is to connect this half inch like this, but I'm not going to be doing it right up away like this, okay? Because I realized that each time I just connect it straight like this, it ends up looking like a very funny shape at the inseam after joining it. So I always like go down. You can go down by half inch. You can do even like here. You don't even need up to do half inch. You can do 0.25. For example, let me just do 0.25, which is right there. This is my 0.25, right? I've just marked that point of 0.25. It's better for you to go a little bit down, okay? If you don't want to go down by half inch, do 0.25. Now, once I am done doing so, the next thing I want to do at this point is I'm going to come here. I will do 2 inch. I'm going to extend it up here by 2 inch. And I'll come here. I'm going to do 1.5 inch. Remember I said the back is supposed to be wider than the front, right? So I'm doing 1.5 inch. Now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to pick up my curve. My French curve. Look at how I am placing it. I'm making sure that it meets up that point, that 0.25 that I went down, and I also make sure that it meets up the 2 inch I went out and the 1.5 inch all together. So we have the 3 points up together. I'm going to go ahead now and connect this up like this all the way to that 0.25. I'm going to come here like this and connect this part up. Remember, the line is supposed to be the same. The line is supposed to be the same. You see what we just have there, right? Now that we have that point, don't worry about that. We'll come back later. Now that we have that point, what I'm going to do is to come here. I've just pulled up my pattern in front so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing here. I'm going to come here. If you're that person that you have big bum at the back, you either go up by 2 inch. The lowest you should go up should be, if you have a big bum, 1.5 inch. For a size small, like a hip of 38, I'm going down. I'm going up by 1.5 inch. Okay, if you're using a hip of maybe 40 or 42, something like that, go up. Make sure that the lowest you should go up should be 2 inch. But before I go up right there, what I want to do is to come here like this. From this point, I'm going to mark 1 inch inward. You see, from this point, I'm marking my 1 inch in. From this point to this point, I'll mark 1 inch in. 1.5 inch. I'm doing 1 inch but I'm marking 1.5 inch. Sorry, I'm saying 1 inch, but I'm marking 1.5 inch. Sorry. So I've just gone in by 1.5 inch. I'm going to go up here by 1.5 inch. I went in by 1.5 inch. I went up by 1.5 inch. Now, after going in and going up by 1.5 inch, what I'm going to do is to come here like this. I'll connect these points up like this with a straight line all the way to make that 1.5 inch that I went up. Now, what we're going to do is to come here like this. I'm going to come here like this, and measure up whatever I have here to here. What I have here is 8 inch. So that 8 inch, let me first of all draw this line up. I'm going to have to draw a straight line from here like this. Okay, that's just a guideline. So that 8 inch I measure from this point to this point. I'm going to have to put it here like this. Mark it where the 8 inch ends. I'm going to have to mark it up. So this is my 8 inch. I will mark it up and I make sure that it is right on this line up because we're going to be joining up this side together. I hope that part is clear and I hope you're following it up. All right, so once I'm done marking that 8 inch here, what I will do is to come here at the side here. I'm going to mark 1 inch. Remember I said the back is supposed to be wider than the front. I'm going to do 1 inch and here I will do 1 inch. Now, I'll have to come here like this, bring up, mark this point, bring this point up to meet up here. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and this one not straight. Yeah, okay. Let's reconnect that point up. I'm bringing it to meet up that point. So from here we have to go down like this. Then now the length is going to be the same. You see, I said the back is supposed to be wider than the front, and that is what I meant. Now that we are done with this part, let me just quickly go ahead and connect these points up so we just know that that's it. We are done with that part, right? We are done with this part, and I just connected it up like that, but I've not marked it up. So let me quickly go ahead and mark that point up. So from here to here, we're gonna do this up, connect this up. You see what I've just done there, right? Are you seeing it? Okay, now I'm gonna have to mark these points up here. Now, from this point, from this here to this, we're gonna measure it. We are going to divide it by 2. Okay, so just measure up whatever I have there, which is definitely going to be let me see when I have there like this. So we're going to measure up whatever I have, which is right there, and divide it by 2, which is going to be the guide of it. So I'm going to have to come here like that and place it up, which is going to be something around here, and mark that point. And what we want to do here is to measure up whatever we have. We're going to go out from that point. You see, you can either go out. What I've noticed is that some people just go ahead and connect it up. No, it's not supposed to be like that. So I have just gone ahead and marked that point up. I've just marked it up here. This is going to be the guide. Now, this is where we're going to have to do the connecting. So this, when you're connecting this part, please stop. Make sure it is not deep. It is not supposed to be deep. You see that point where I mark, right? That point where I mark, that I measure the center of this and I mark. So you want to make sure that whatever you should have from here to here should be at least 1 inch. Can you see what I'm trying to explain? 1 inch. So I'm going to make sure that as I'm placing up this part, making sure from here to here, it should not be too deep. It should be at least 1 inch. 1 inch, okay? I don't want it to be too deep. You don't want to make something looking funny. This part now is too deep. So always try your best to make this part not to be too deep, because if you do it too deep, by the time you stitch it, you realize that it's looking funny, and you don't want to make it looking funny. You don't want to sew something that at the end of the day that you're not going to actually. So what I'm going to do is just to go ahead and connect these points up. I want to make sure that I connect these points up like this. If you see the most curvy part of it, I took it out, okay? When I have to, no, I almost went down here. I was marking it already at that point. So remember, we end up went up by 0 to 5, which is right there. Now, you can always go ahead and modify up your piece. Go ahead and modify it up. If you have anything looking funny, it is always good for you to. I want to connect this part up, making sure nothing is looking funny right there. If you check, it is not that curvy. It's not supposed to be that curvy, but because by the time it is that curvy, you will stitch it. You find out that your pant is getting in between your your bum behind, which is not supposed to be so. All right. So making sure, you want to make sure that it is not that curvy. So you can see this point, right? It's kind of just straight. So by the time I stitch everything up together, it's going to be perfect. You want to avoid it from being curvy. I repeat myself. Make sure it is not curvy. So I have almost done with the back. Now I'm just going to have to go ahead. If you check, the back is quite wider than the front. Like I said, it's supposed to be wider than the front. Now we're simply going to go ahead and mark up the nipple to nipple, which is right there. I'm marking half inch both sides. I'm going to have to connect this line up. I'm going to connect this other line. This is the hip line. Now I'm going to go a straight line here. Now at this point, remember that the back the front we did went down by 4.5 inches. This is for the back, and if you notice that we lift up the back, okay, by 1.5 inches. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down here by 5.5 inches. So automatically what you went down, you're going to add 1 inch to it, 5.5 inches. And I'm going to go ahead now and connect these points up like this to make up those 1/2 inch that I did. Okay, now that I am done this, so next thing is to do is to cut that off. Okay, I'm gonna cut this up. So if you don't want yours to be too wider than it, instead of going out here, if you remember that I went out here by 1 inch and also did 1 inch here, you can do just 1 inch here and do 1/2 inch here, okay? And like so, automatically we'll have our short pants. Fine. Let's see that part I said I was going to use it for. Yeah, the part I said I was going to use it for my waistband. Our waistband was 1.5 inch. So you're simply going to cut your waistband, okay, of whatever we have there. The waistband was 1.5 inch. Remember, when you're cutting up your waistband, you're supposed to add up sewing allowance to it, okay? Sewing allowance, I will be using it to join up the waist and the pants. I'm trying my best not to stay this way. Cut up your waistband of your choice, and remember that this part is supposed to be cut on fold. I have full tutorials on my channel on how to sew up pants, even a full tutorial on how to cut on the fabric itself and sew it. Alright, so check out Anita Handmade Creations. So when I'm cutting this part off, we have a piece right there. When you're cutting, want to make sure that this part here is joined, it smashes up. If there's anything looking funny, see, it should mash up here. It mash up here at the side. So you can see, I realize that it's a little bit tricky. Okay, so that's a little. And to shape this small exit that are there. Okay, so we have the front and we have the back. All right, this is it. You're supposed to cut this. You cut times 2, and you cut this times 2 also. All right, so that's just it. If you want to add a pocket, you just simply go ahead. I already have a full tutorial on how to cut a pants, sew it, add a pocket to it. Sorry about that. Don't know. Okay, so I want to make sure that the sides are matching up. It's beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you find this tutorial helpful. If you do, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like, comment, share. I hope to see you some other time on my live stream. Bye bye. Bye bye. We may be able to use this and do something like if you want to make a set. If you want to make a network is bad. If you want to make a flare pants, you can use this pattern like this, manipulate it, do slash and braid metal, you turn it into a flare pant. That's the most important thing when it comes to a basic pattern. Okay, once you have a basic pattern, you're able to do whatever you want with it. Okay, so I hope you find it helpful. My network is slow. I don't know why it's slow. Let me see. No, the network is slow. I don't know why it's slow. I hope you find it helpful. If you do, don't forget to like, comment, and share. I hope to follow Anita Handmade Creations. If you're watching from Facebook, if you're watching from YouTube, please follow Anita Handmade Creations on YouTube. On Facebook. If you're watching from Facebook, follow Anita Handmade Creations on YouTube, and also follow me on TikTok, Anita Handmade Creations. Let's be everywhere. Let's rock the fashion world, creating together. So I hope you guys have learned something. Thank you. Where am I data? Emilia, see. I hope you guys find it tutorial. I will still have to edit the video now because I don't. Tomorrow I'm working full day, so I don't think I'm going to post it tomorrow. But I'll still have to do the editing and come and post. If you see the distance here, you realize that it's much, right? But it's supposed to be so. You join it up like this. You have something like this. Can you see that? You join it up like this. You have something. The front is supposed to be smaller than the back. Alright. Like this, you have something like this. Yeah. So I hope it was helpful to you guys. Hope to see you guys some other time for another sewing or another live stream coming up very soon. Thank you. I don't know what we're going to be taking tomorrow, but thank you guys. Bye bye. Bye.